Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching Financial Markets, and my name is Anthony, and I am your host. Now, let's look into the counter of Equity Bank Limited. Equity Bank Limited is one of, if I can say, the very major counters we have on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, as you all know, we have 18 listed equities on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And among these, we have 10 cross-listed, actually 8 cross-listed and 10 domestic listed equities on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, Equity Bank Limited yesterday was among the top gainers, who came out at a 0.44% gain, gaining by 6.24 Ugandan shillings, as you can see on the screen, and gaining to a price of 1,424. Before we go into the details of that, I would like you to know that it's a bank that is, of course, majorly based in Kenya under the financial institutions, offering financial services through its over 90 branches and network, which include 350 Visa branded automated teller machines and 2,500 point of sale terminals, cashback services in all leading supermarkets, as well as internet and mobile banking. The bank commenced business on registration in 1984 and has since evolved from a building society to the largest bank in East Africa, in the East African region, in terms of customer base. So it has the highest number of customers when you look at banks that have begun here in East Africa. Equity Bank is home to over 48% of all bank accounts in Kenya, comprising over 2.8 million accounts. Equity Bank has been listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange since the 18th of June 2009. So its listing dates way back over 25 years ago. Actually, not over about 10 years ago, because when you count from 2009 to 2022, that's about 12 years back. Equity is traded under the USE ticker symbol, as you can see on the screen, EBL, that is Equity Bank Limited, that is their trading ticker name. And the international securities identification number is KE0000554. Equity Bank Limited is currently, and this is very, very important, the number one most valuable stock on the Uganda Security Exchange, with the current market capitalization of 5.24 trillion Ugandan shillings, which makes about 24.6% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange market. Now, we are talking about the most valuable stock, and this means simply it has the highest value of shares. We can have a big amount of shares, but with less value. But we are talking about a company with the highest value of price, in terms of pricing, multiplying the share price, multiplying it by the number of shares that are outstanding or that are listed on the main investment market segment on the Uganda Security Exchange. Equity Bank comes in position number 1, and that's very, very, very significant. Now, regarding the performance of this particular counter on the stock market, we see that actually this particular stock has been trading for a very good while, since 2009, and we have seen the fact that it's one of the counters that have made a lot of progress in terms of gaining value for their shareholders and making sure that we see growth on this particular counter. We have seen some fluctuations here and there in pricings, but it has maintained a very resilient structure. Now, let's look about 10 months ago before today. If we look 10 months back, this is how the stock has moved for Equity Bank Limited on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Why these graphs are important is simply because as an investor, you must be informed before investing what the history of the company has been, what the former performance of the company looks like, so you know exactly what to expect. As you know, a person who doesn't know their history probably doesn't know where they're going as well. So it's important you know the history of the company on the stock market before investing in this particular company, so you know exactly what to expect. Now, looking at this particular pricing, we see that a couple of months ago, weeks, a matter of fact, this particular counter was trading prices as low as 1,200, and we see a sharp rise just in the recent few days to 1,400. But when we look still further before the month of June, we see that there was sharp, declines in pricings, and we see also fluctuations up above 1,400 in May, and the month of March saw the stock coming to averages of 1,600. And if we draw a line at 1,600, we see that that line will cut through most of these points here. Meaning, if we look 10 months back, this particular counter could be averaged at an aggregate price of 1,600 Ugandan shillings. But currently, with this gain, it puts it at 1,424. Now, looking into the performance here in December 2021, before closing December, we see that the stock went down a little bit to 1,400, but shot up immediately at the beginning of the month, back to 1,600s, where it still had ups and downs there, but still averaging at 1,600 since the month of January 2022 to the month of March, around to the start of March, of the month of April. And we see the prices went down starting from April until where we are right now. And we have seen lows of 1,200 being hit in the last 10 months around the month of June or July, end of month of June and the beginning of the month of July. Meaning the particular stock we are talking about fell on average in the last 10 months from 1,600 averages to averages of right now 1,400 that have been witnessed in the past 3 months. So before you invest again, you must take note of that. That much as we are seeing this counter gain to 1,400, that has not been its average pricing. When we look at a year-to-date performance, when we look at the 3 months performance, we are seeing a different picture. And that's why this graph is important. And to kind of conceptualize this graph, we do calculations based on 3 months period, 3 months ago. We do calculations based on 1 week ago. We do calculations based on 1 month ago, that is 4 weeks. And then we do what we call the year-to-date performance calculations. These are calculations that portray the performance of the stock. And in particular, the year-to-date represents the performance of the stock comparing the pricings of this particular stock at the first day of the year. That is 1st of January to this very date. So we do that pricing, we get the percentage change in that pricing and get what we call the year-to-date performance. And so on average, you can see the stock has moved down on average, being honest, in the last 10 months, as you have seen, from averages of 1,600 to averages of 1,400 and hitting the lowest prices in the month of July at the beginning, where we had 1,200. But you saw that these graphs indicate opportunities. Every time you see these lows, those were opportunities, because the lows give opportunity for investors to actually buy stock. So imagine people who bought stock in around July 1st, around June 30th. You see that the prices were as low as 1,200, which has never been seen as in the last 10 months. And right now we're at 1,420, meaning these people have almost gained a value of 200 shillings on every share. Excuse me. So that is exactly why we need to look at these graphs and interpret them as investors, because as an investor, you want to invest in a stock that gives you value. Any shareholder is looking for value addition, just like any other market in the world where we look at adding value to tomatoes, adding value to matoke, adding value to the rice. Even on the stock market, whenever we are buying stock, we are looking at stocks that can add value to you as a shareholder. And usually it's some of these stocks that keep on fluctuating, that give you a good opportunity for you to invest and gain value. And that's exactly what it is all about. Now, looking into the performance of this particular stock, if you can actually be able to monitor the year-to-date performances, you look at what the performances have been like. This particular stock has had several fluctuations, as we have seen, but we haven't seen much trading done on the counter as well. And in terms of, if you look at this now table here, you can see the fact that we have the opening prices have not been changing. The day's low prices, we haven't had fluctuations like that, and these high prices, there was no volume traded yesterday. The price just moved. Like you all know, prices move depending on whether people buy or not. But there are certain stocks, since they are cross-listed, prices moved because of, depending on the particular, the activity of that particular counter on other security exchanges or on other, where it has traded elsewhere. And so there was no traded volume, so this price just moved, and then there was no deals that were recorded, and hence no gross turnover as well. The shares outstanding, very importantly, are 3.7 billion shares that are being, of course, listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange, and they are worth 5.28 trillion Ugandan shillings. And now, so to get that market capitalization, you simply multiply the 3.7 billion shares that are outstanding times the current share price, which is 1,424, to come to the 5.28 trillion Ugandan shillings. Equity Bank has a number of competitors on the market, as you may always wish to also know how the competitors are doing. And since it is in the financial services sector, it definitely is competing with people like KCB Bank. We are looking at people like Bank of Baroda, Uganda. We are looking at people like Stanbic Bank, Uganda, and National Insurance Corporation, as well as Jubilee Holdings and Centum Investment Company. And compared to their performance, of course, in terms of being valuable, in terms of value, equity comes on top because it's the most valuable stock with over 5 trillion worth of shares. But then we see KCB coming in at 3.8 trillion in the second place. We also see Stanbic coming in the third place at 1.05 trillion. This is in terms of market capitalization. How much value, how valuable are the stocks or the shares that are listed by these particular counters. And we see others following, like Bank of Baroda, 213 billion. We see DFCU Bank at 411 billion and the like. In terms of year-to-date performance, the stock of Equity Bank went down in terms of year-to-date, like we have seen, from averages of 1,600 to averages of 1,400, which was a significant drop. But also for its competitors, it's almost the same, like KCB, whose year-to-date performance is also looking at a negative trend of 8.54% decline. And Bank of Baroda, Uganda, also at 11% decline in terms of year-to-date performance. We see him there also coming in the decline. And then we see Stanbic at a 21.2% decline, meaning he has also not performed well regarding the year-to-date performance. Then the only person probably who has a good performance in terms of year-to-date is National Insurance Corporation in this docket at 17.7% rise in the current year-to-date performance. DFCU Bank comes in at 5.17%, And then finally, we have Jubilee Holdings at 19.8% decline. While Centum comes in the last position in terms of year-to-date performance at 28.5% decline in price valuation. That is briefly about the counter. Is it an investable equity? Yes, it is, because as you can see, it's a promising equity. When looking at the graphs there for their pricings, we see averages of 1,600, which could return anytime soon. So meaning if you buy right now at 1,200, you may be standing a good position to see your stock go up to 1,600. And so when you look at that graph, it's a promising counter. It's not that bad, much as we have seen that decline from the 1,600 to 1,400. It is still something you can rely or bank on because of its daily performance, like we are seeing, but also based on its weekly performance, we can see that we have gained the stock from that 1,400 to 1,600. So you can buy that stock right now. It's open for trading 1,400. That is the bargaining price, because the stock market also has bargaining like any other market, because you don't have everyone that is willing to buy and sell at exactly the same price. So 1,424, you can take 15% off, or you can add 15% onto that, and you can be able to trade on that counter. Definitely the stockbroker will help you to do that, but Altex East Africa says that, hey, they can help you do this on your own. If you feel you've mastered the game, if you feel you've mastered the art of this particular game called trading, you can now trade on these stocks by yourself by simply dialing *292#, and then you follow the prompts and make sure you are able to access some of these stocks with no hassle. Definitely the Zabu initiative, they're giving you your money value and telling you to do something new by simply dialing *292#, and then you choose option either 1 to buy, and then you choose the products that you would want to buy, or you can learn about the products. That is choosing option 2. You can see the bonds there where you have almost all the years that you can have on the exchange, and you can pay that amount off your mobile money wallet. That is using Momo Pay, and then you can be able to get a notification that the money has been received. No hassle, and that is Zabu, my money, my future, giving you a chance to do something new. Now, let's look at the other counters. Definitely, these were not the only counters that did some good work on the market. We had other 7 gainers on the market who came in very strongly, giving you chance also to know about the gainers here on the stock market as per yesterday. Now, some of the other gainers we had were actually Centum, who came in at 1.39 Uganda shillings gain. That was still a 0.44% gain. He gained to 317.88, and I think this is the very first day this week, and I think even last week, the very first day Centum is gaining at a 1.39 Uganda shillings gain. Definitely, that's not a percentage gain like it's indicated there. It's actually a Uganda shillings gain. So it's not by percentage, it's by Ugandan shillings. And then we can have East African Breweries Limited, who came in at a 19.53 gain, and he gained to a price of 4,461.21 Ugandan shillings. And then we had Equity Bank Limited, like we have said, coming in at 6.24 Ugandan shillings, and that was also after a 0.44% gain. Then Jubilee Holdings Limited at a 34.83 Uganda shilling gain prices of up to 7,955.03 Ugandan shillings, and Kenya Airways at 0.53 Ugandan shillings gained, at a price of closing at a price of 122.48 Ugandan shillings. KCB was also among the gainers. All these counters gained by 0.44%. Yeah, it can happen, and definitely that also indicates the fact that most of these are cross listings, if not all of them are cross listings from Kenya. So probably something happens in the Kenyan market and all these stocks move in tandem, and you can see 0.44% gain on almost each and every one of these. The KCB counter came in at 5.66 Ugandan shillings gain, and they closed the market with a price of 1,229. Those were the top gainers, and definitely we are going to also look into the one bottom loser, who was Umeme, who lost by 2 shillings to a price of 200 Ugandan shillings. But based on this performance, we can now look at the all-share index. Now, the all-share index, that is the ALCI, gained by 0.29% to end with over 1,260 points. Sorry, after gaining about 3.6 points. And we can see that the index went up, which is the first time it's going up in days, since the opening of the markets this week. And as you can see, we can see that this is due to the performance of these 8 counters that were able to gain the momentum for the market this particular day of trading. And the all-share index, for your own information, is just a performance tracker for a certain group of counters or companies that are listed on the on the exchange, any exchange for that matter. And when you go to other developed countries like the United States, you find very, very prominent indices like the Dow Jones, like the S&P 500, the New York Stock Exchange, and all these other features that are giving performance of particular companies on the market as a whole. They monitor the performance as a whole. And in Uganda, we only have 2 indices. The Uganda Security Exchange has 2 indices. That is the the all-share index, as well as the local company index. The all-share, like we already mentioned, talks about all the companies. As we have seen, it went up. But then when we look at the Uganda Security Exchange local company index, it maintained its value at 277.31 points, making it a 1-week loss of 0.97% and a 4-week loss of 0.37% and a year-to-date loss of 14.58%, meaning our local company index hasn't done that well. Definitely this could be due to none of these companies that we have seen gaining on the market is from Uganda. We have seen Equity Bank, we've seen Centum, and we have seen, for example, the other companies like East African Breweries. All these are cross listings from Kenya, and none of the counters in Uganda had any performance yesterday, apart from Umeme, who actually lost. And so this pushed down, it maintained our local company index, but it pushed it down in terms of year-to-date performance, in terms of 1-week performance, in terms of 4-week performance, and so to lose. So this doesn't indicate a good performance for our local companies here. And we would like to encourage you, if you have a business, if you have a company that you think is worth listing and you want to raise cheap capital, the Uganda Security Exchange is giving you just that opportunity. You can visit them and talk to them and see that you can get your company listed. This process is a very simple one. They will take you through what it takes. And if you don't have what it takes, if you're still a small company, they still have an option for the growth enterprise market segment for the small and medium enterprises. And they also have an initiative called the DALA, which is coming up soon, where they're going to launch something that will be able to help growing companies, small and medium enterprises that would want to list on the main investment market segment, to prepare them for that main investment market segment on these other small market segment. And that is all to help companies grow, to help businesses grow, because as you know, the stock market is an avenue to raise cheap capital, to be able to give value to your company, but also to give value to people, to the public, by allowing the public to own part of your enterprise. We're going to go into a very short break. When we return with the performance of East African Breweries Limited as well as Wumeme, and what happened to these stocks, and can we still be able to invest in some of these stocks. Don't go anywhere. We return shortly after this short breather.